What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Game Plan Pod. I'm Peter.
And I'm Vincent, and unfortunately, Henry can't join us today.
But anyways, let's get into today's episode.
All right, for the first thing starting us off, we're going to go into the MLB power rankings. Well, halfway through the season, the All-Star break just happened, and the trade deadline is coming up soon. So we're going to get into our top five MLB teams. And so, Peter, if you want to start us off.
All right, if we're going from 5 to 1, this is a tough list. You got to think of long term. You can't think of recent. Like a lot of teams have been doing really good recently, but if you think long term, you got to factor in some things like if the players are injured for some teams right now, or if they're in a cold streak, you're going to anticipate that they're going to come out of that cold streak, better. So or worse if you're on a hot streak. So with that being said, my fifth team is the Milwaukee Brewers. They're the best. They have the best record in the MLB as of today, and today's Wednesday, I think.
No, Tuesday.
Today's Tuesday, my bad. Okay, so Milwaukee does have the best record in the league right now, but with the way they ended things last season, they added some players, some good players, and their pitcher Mizorski, is that how you say it? I don't know how to say it, but their rookie pitcher's doing really well. They have really great pitching all around. I like their lineup. I don't love it. I think there's a lot of teams with a better lineup, but their pitching is phenomenal. They're on an 11-game win streak. They just swept the Dodgers twice in the last 10 games, so that's really good for them. Really great sign for their hot streak. But I have them fifth. I have four teams better than them. I was going back and forth with Brewers and Phillies, but I do think the Brewers are better than the Phillies right now and in long term. But I was really going back and forth with that. So who's your fifth team?
So my fifth team right now, they've recently been hot too. They've been the hottest team in baseball for over a month now. Well, not the hottest team, but they've had one of the best records in all of baseball in over a month now. And I got the Toronto Blue Jays. I mean, their team has really come alive now, and I just mean like Vladdy's hitting, Bichette's hitting, and honestly, like it's looking like they took the division over the Yankees. Now they lead the Yankees by 3 or 4 games, I'm pretty sure. And they're looking hot right now. Their pitching's everything's going well for them, and honestly, they're a scary team right now. They weren't what they were in the beginning of the season, a shell of themselves. But right now, they're a very good team, and I could see them going away with the AL East.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have the Blue Jays in my top 5, which is pretty controversial. But, I'm really thinking long-term here. And, I do think there's top 5 better teams than the Blue Jays. But, I don't hate putting them at 5. But at number 4, I do have our beloved New York Mets at number 4. I got to sneak them into the top 5. They're doing pretty mid right now. They're 5-5 in the last 10 games. They're pitching and they're hitting. Everything's just been recently. They started off pretty hot. Yeah. But, they've came down. And they're 6th or 7th best record in the MLB right now. But if I'm thinking long term, which I know I keep saying, but I have to reiterate it. If I'm thinking long term, then I'm thinking Sean Manaea is going to be fully healthy come playoff time, and so is Kodai Senga, and that hasn't been the case recently at all in this entire season. And I think this lineup's starting to heat up. Juan Soto should have been an all-star. Then you have Lindor and Alonso, who are both all-stars. You have David Peterson. You have Diaz. I think this team is stacked. This team can win it all. I think this is a top 4 team in baseball right now. They're just not playing like it recently, but I expect them to come out of the slump. I have a lot to say about the Mets, but I'm going to keep it at that right now because I have them 4th. I think there's 3 teams better than them. I think they're better than the Brewers, the Phillies, the Blue Jays, who I don't have, better than the Mets. But like I said, I think this lineup has a lot of potential. What we need from the Mets is the bottom half of the lineup, and we need the pitching to be consistent. That's what the Mets need right now. The pitching has been very off.
What it is with the Mets, I think, I'm going to say it right now, I do not have them in my top 5. If we were doing top 10, I would probably have them at 6, I would say. But right now, I do not in their recent play. But I'm not saying they aren't a good team. They were 21 games over 500 at one point. But if they really want to, they want to win, I really do think Stearns needs to go. He needs to get bullpen arms. Your bullpen's starting to falter a little bit. You had injuries and everything, and some of them are being inconsistent. I think you need to get a bullpen. And honestly, they're saying the Mets might need a starter, but they're saying that there's reports saying they won't trade for a starter unless he's a playoff caliber ace. If that's the case and you want to do that, maybe you want to go get an ace. I think Mitch Keller could be good. If the Diamondbacks sell Merrill Kelly or Zach Gallen, but you don't know. Those are all hypothetical trades. You don't know, and especially with I think the only one that's a free agent is Zach Gallen after this season, so he would be the only rental. So I don't know. They do. I think they might need one starting pitcher if they aren't going to call up any of the young arms. And honestly, maybe they need to get someone at center field. Look, I love McNeil, but his natural position is in second, and he plays left and right field. He plays left and right field well, but he's a natural second baseman. He's been hitting the ball well, and I think if you get a center fielder if they want to go into the trade deadline, and they need to, like Cedric Mullins, maybe Steven Kwan. I've been seeing about Luis Robert, however you say his name. I've been seeing that. I don't know how I'd feel about that. He's been struggling. He's been hot recently, but they need to make a few moves to fill some holes in this. My dream.
There's too many gaping holes.
My dream acquisition. I know Brett Beatty's been recently hot a little bit, and you have Mauricio there, and you have Vientos at third, and you're hoping Vientos figures it out. But if they really want to go all in, Eugenio Suarez would be my dream trade deadline acquisition for the Mets, but I don't know if that's going to happen or not because Stearns said they're going to roll.
I mean, that would be actually insane, but there's too many gaping holes in the lineup. Like, there's too many gaping holes. Like Tyrone Taylor's an automatic out. Jose Siri's been injured since forever. He's out for the season. He's not coming back probably, and he wasn't even playing good even
when he was.
So, Brett Beatty's been hot recently. Alvarez is coming back. So there's a lot of ups and downs for the Mets. We'll see what happens. I think they could still compete for a World Series.
I fully believe
by all
so
means.
too.
I think they're a top 14, but yeah.
But if they really do believe they can, then I think that Stearns has to put all his chips in right now. Like, you gotta fill some of those holes at least to make it more competitive because you're not running away with the division right now. You're in a competitive race with the Phillies. So
the thing is with Stearns, he wants to keep some of his pieces for the future, but the problem is our future and our future and our players that are playing in AAA and came up and came down are not doing well. They're just not. Ronnie Mauricio that came up, he's not doing that well. Beatty's been a disappointment for the last couple of years. He hasn't shown anything. And Vientos, he had a great season last year, and he's done nothing this year. He's been a disappointment. He got sent down. And Alvarez got
sent down.
Alvarez got sent down, and he came back up. We want him to do good. But, these pieces, they are tradable. There's no one I wouldn't trade right now for Eugenio Suarez. I'm sorry.
He's been hot. He'd be the dream deadline acquisition, but I don't know. We'll see. I know Stearns likes to keep certain prospects. I know he doesn't want to trade. The 4 prospects he doesn't want to trade are Jet Williams, McLean, Jonah Tong, and Brandon Sproat. I'm pretty sure those are the 4, which I completely understand. Those are, if he wants to make those untouchable. But heading into my number 4, I have the Chicago Cubs. I think the Chicago Cubs are a great team. Their pitching has taken a little bit of injuries and not has been as great lately, but I think they're still a great team. Their offense is super powered with Kyle Tucker, Seiya Suzuki, PCA. It's just all those guys are just compiling up to be a great team. Carson Kelly's good. Ian Happ's good. Their team's been great. Michael Bush. I just think this team's a very scary threat, especially I think they're making the playoffs. So come playoffs, I think they're going to be a scary team and someone to watch out for to make it to the World Series.
Yeah, I completely agree. I have the Cubs at my 3 spot right above the Mets. I mean, I agree with everything Vincent said. They have solid pitching. They have great hitting. They're a young team. They got Kyle Tucker. And I like this team a lot. I think this team could go far. Let's look at the standings right now. I think they're first in their division.
No, I think the Brewers
are ahead of them. They're 1 game behind the Brewers. But they have a really great run differential at plus 115, best in the NL. They're on a 2-game losing streak. They're the same as Mets. They're on a bit of a slide right now, but I believe in the Cubs. They've shown me a lot this season. I underestimated them a little bit, but I think they can go far. I like the Cubs a lot. So, Who's your 3 spot?
My 3 spot, I got the LA Dodgers. Look, yes, they've been on the Dodgers obviously, but they've been on a recent bit of a skid too. But look, when their team is hurt, but and obviously some people are having down years, especially Mookie Betts, but they're still a good team. They're still a threat in the NL, and I wouldn't take the defending champs for a reason. I wouldn't take them lightly, and I think they're still a top 5 team. And they're definitely going to make some spot. They're definitely going to make moves at the deadline because they always do. They always make those big accusations usually, but I have them in my 3 spot.
That's a little crazy. Put Dodgers on top 2, low key.
Yeah, I have my top 2 right now.
Okay, but at my number 2, I have the I have the Detroit Tigers. I mean, they've been the number one team in baseball so far the entire season. That's not up for debate. But, when I'm looking at the future, I think they are not the number one team, and my number one team will be said later. I think you could assume what it is, but I have the Tigers. They have the best pitching in the MLB, and then they have the best pitcher in the MLB, and their teammate they have really great hitting. I like the Tigers.
Yeah, I agree. My number 2 is the Milwaukee Brewers. I think that I think that they're a great team. Everything's just been going well. They're a phenomenal team right now, and they have their pitchers. And right now, they just look like a scary team. They're on an MLB best 11-game win streak, like you said before. Yeah. They look like much better than what they were in the beginning of the season. And honestly, they're a real threat. And some analysts have the Brewers somehow making the World Series now. What they're looking like, they have them as a World Series favorite, which I wouldn't put it down as much because they've been one of the most high power offenses the last couple weeks now. But I think they're a fun team to watch, and that's why they're my number 2.
Yeah, and at my number 1, I have the LA Dodgers. They came into the season as the favorite to win the World Series after everything they did in the offseason and after winning the World Series last year. And, they have some players in, some rough patches, like Mookie Betts has been having not his best season. But they still got Ohtani. They still got Andy Pages, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Teoscar Hernandez, Will Smith. I mean, the lineup's stacked, Max Muncy. And their pitching has been very hurt all year. But, they still have Yamamoto having a great season. And by all means, I do not like the Dodgers, but coming from a Mets fan, I do not want to play this team in the playoffs, that's for sure. They're too stacked. They're just too good. Like, come playoff time, they're the best team. They have Ohtani pitching now, too, and hitting. That's not fair. I mean, this Dodgers team is unstoppable, in my opinion. In a couple months, they'll be back on top.
Yeah, and my number 1, I have the Detroit Tigers. I just think they're right now the best well-rounded team. Maybe not the best well-rounded team, but right now I think they're one of the better teams. Obviously, they're the best team in the AL in my opinion, and they're the team. I think right now they are the team to beat, and they've just been great. Turk Skubal has been amazing. They have other pitchers. Jack Flaherty's been solid, but Casey Miz is finally breaking out. They have all these pitchers. They have a good bullpen. Their lineup's good. Javi Baez is starting to look like his old self again. And Gleyber Torres is having a comeback season. Riley Green's been great. Spencer Torkelson's been solid. They have a good lineup and they have a good team, and their team chemistry is really on point right now. And I just really think that they are the favorite to come out of the AL right now. If the playoffs started today, I fully believe that they would be the favorites. All right, NBA free agency has happened, and we've seen a couple reunions. Damian Lillard back to the Portland Trail Blazers for 3 years. You got Chris Paul back to the LA Clippers for a reunion. And there's been a couple reunions, obviously, this past offseason. The Knicks have made a couple moves. Everyone's been making moves, but there's still one free agent. And I know I asked Peter this off camera before. And, well, I would wonder how he would feel if Russell Westbrook took like a vet min, or he came back to OKC for one more year to run it back with OKC before he calls it a career, whenever that is. How would you feel about that?
The thing is, I don't want to disrespect my OKC legend, one of my favorite, if not my favorite player of all time. Well, he was my favorite. Russell Westbrook, and hear me out here. Russell Westbrook is the man that got me into basketball. He's the man that made me an Oklahoma City Thunder fan. Everyone asked me, I'm from New York, why are you an Oklahoma City Thunder fan? Number 0, Russell Westbrook, that's why. And watching him at a young age has inspired me, after that dynasty collapse with Kevin Durant and Harden, he still put it together. He still won an MVP. He still competed in the playoffs. And watching him just electrify the NBA court every day and every night, as a basketball fan, as a little kid, going to elementary school and middle school, that just made my nights. And watching those teams with, Alex Abrinas and, Steven Adams. And all that being said, I do not want to disrespect Russell Westbrook, because if we magically made one roster spot open, which we don't, if we made one roster spot open and got him to the team on a minimum, because we still can't, we could afford him, but on a minimum, let's say, he would not play. We have too many young guys. We already have a 15-man rotation with the guys we have. We just drafted another first-round pick. And our second-round pick looks like an absolute stud. And so if we sign Russell Westbrook, he would not play. Now, I think he can still hoop. He did amazing in the playoffs last year with a broken wrist, with a broken hand, basically. With a fractured hand. He played amazing in the playoffs last year, especially, he had his moments against OKC, which, that series went to Game 7 versus Denver and OKC. But I think he still has a lot in the tank left to go on a championship team and be like a 7th, 8th man like Denver. Like, I hope he doesn't join back with Denver because I don't want to play him. But, maybe like a Houston. Maybe I'll look at the teams right now. Like maybe even a Knicks. Maybe a minimum on the Knicks. That'd be good. They kind of need that. Maybe the Magic. Maybe the Pistons. I saw the Kings are interested in him, and the Kings are not going to contend in the West. But the Kings are interested in him. But all that being said, I don't want Westbrook back. This is Shea's era. Westbrook had his time. This is Shea's time. I don't want that being disrupted. I don't want anything to disrupt that. I love Westbrook with all my heart. I'll never hate that man. Whatever happens, I don't care. I will never hate him. But right now, it's Shea's time. It's not Westbrook's time. And all OKC fans just need to let that go. Like, at first, I wanted Westbrook because, like, oh, my God, Westbrook back with OKC. But now, it's Shea's moment. I mean, Westbrook just has to move on. OKC fans have to move on. The time has passed, and that's my take on that.
And I can't disagree with you on that. I understand why we wouldn't want to disrupt that. I think it would be cool to see if he did do it and he was okay with not playing a lot. But we all know that he still wants to hoop and he still wants to play on the court and still contribute to a team. So I don't think OKC would be a landing spot like you said. The Knicks maybe because they still have one more roster spot open.
I would love that.
I've seen Shamet thrown around for the last roster spot, which I would love. I like Shamet. I think he was
for the
great.
regular season.
Yeah, but I like what. Continue on that foot. How did you like with the Knicks moves what they made, like Jordan Clarkson? And
I love Jordan Clarkson. I mean, that was a great move. I forgot about that.
Yeah, my bad. I said his name wrong again. My bad.
Not Nicholas Claxton.
Yeah, I always.
But former 6th man of the year. He's a great scorer. He could get a little cocky sometimes. He could get, he's not known for his defense, but when you need to score off the bench like the Knicks did last season, I love that for them. Also, with the head coach hiring of Mike Brown, he was the best available. I mean, I didn't want them to fire Tibbs. But at some point, they needed to make a change. Not really, because they kept getting better each season. They made it to second round. They made it to semifinals versus the Pacers. And I don't even think their team was ready last year because this is the first year that they're all playing together with new additions like Cat and losing DiVincenzo and stuff. But, the time has come. It's a Mike Brown era in New York, and I don't hate it. I think he was the best available, You had the Nuggets coach, and then they went with Mike Brown. So how do you feel about Mike Brown?
I like Mike Brown. I heard that he works his players hard, which honestly, I'm not gonna say the Knicks don't work hard. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying he works. I feel like he's someone who adjusts more when his play style is figured out. Because Thibs wouldn't adjust. That's the problem in the play. Thibs wouldn't adjust, but I think Mike Brown. He works his player to adjust more, and especially he'll use the bench more. And I think he'll adjust around, seeing what he can do to help push his team over that hump, maybe. And I think he'll push. I think they're gonna like him. I think he's a great fit for the Knicks. He'll definitely work them. He'll work them hard, but I really do think that he could be that guy who he needs to adjust to figure out certain plays. Because right now, if it's any year the Knicks are gonna make it to the finals, it's this year. It's really this year.
No Tatum, no Tyrese Halliburton. It's
the Celtics. The Celtics have been dismantled. Pacers are missing Halliburton, which I'm not saying they're not a good team.
Well,
they're a solid team, but they're not as good as they were last year because they lost Miles Turner to the Bucks.
Yeah.
And the Bucks, I think, are a good team too. But
Milwaukee lost Dame.
Yeah, and that's what it is. But they have right now. I think the East is wide open. I don't think there's a favorite. Maybe the Cavs are still competitive.
Cavs lost Ty Jerome, so
that's what I'm saying.
They didn't get better.
They didn't get better yet. They didn't get better, but right now
maybe Magic got Desmond Bane, but they still don't have a true point guard.
Yeah.
So.
But look, if it's any year, I just think that the Mike Brown hiring was good. If you're going to replace Thibs, that was a good hiring in my opinion. And I'm intrigued to see how the team plays around him and if they can and how he rallies them if they're definitely in like slumps like they did last when they went in little slumps last year. But I think it's a solid signing.
I know we're in July, but if I'm the Knicks, I would do everything in my power to avoid one team in the playoffs. And you know who I'm going to say?
Who?
The Atlanta Hawks.
I know you
do everything in your power to avoid the Atlanta Hawks. The Hawks are going to be scary next year. They might not be a top 3 team in the East. They might be. You know, you have the Cavs, Knicks, and it could be the Hawks. I like the Hawks a lot. They made a lot of great additions. They're getting Jalen Johnson back from his injury. They got Trae Young. They have Rizisher. They traded for Kristaps. They have Dyson Daniels. You know, they made a lot of great moves, and I think they're gonna be scary. You know, Trae Young in New York is not something to be dealt with lightly. So I think, I mean, it's really early, but just avoid the Hawks. I'm calling it right now. I want to be the first to say it.
Look, I think they're a good team. There's a lot of teams I think improved, especially I think the Rockets improved with the Kevin Durant trade.
Yeah.
But the Hawks, I definitely agree. I think they could be very scary next year. I do like what their team looks like on paper right now. And if I agree with you, maybe the Knicks do want to avoid them because they could be one of those young, gritty not one of those young, but one of those gritty teams that get into the playoffs and go on that little run. And that's why I think the Knicks might need to avoid it. Because the Knicks, they can be gritty, but sometimes they're not.
Yeah.
They need to.
After you get that money, you lose a little bit of grit.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie.
And
that's what we saw in the playoffs last year with the Knicks.
Yeah. Speaking of, like, New York signing people and the rumors of reunion, going to football a little bit, but seeing a little bit of things. OBJ, the Giants, he's training in Giants gear.
I
he was
can
by
relate.
MetLife a couple months ago.
This is like the Westbrook situation. OBJ, you know, got me into football, kinda. Because I really started watching the Giants every single game when OBJ was drafted. But this is the opposite of Westbrook's situation. I really want OBJ bad. We are short-staffed on wide receivers, the Giants.
When are we not?
When are we not, you know?
We love Neighbors. He's great, but look, love Slayton.
Let's just give Slayton $20 million like it's nothing.
As I was saying, that's another thing. Like, look, I'm gonna go back to like the Barkley situation. We wouldn't give Barkley $12 million a year, but we gave Darius Slayton. Look, I don't hate Slayton. I like him, but is he worth $12 million a year? I don't think so, in my opinion.
Saquon
is. And well, honestly, is it the worst thing to bring back OBJ? I don't think so. I think that it would be good.
Look, now we have Scadaboo, and now we have Tyrone Tracy.
Yeah,
so I'll take that.
I'll take that too, honestly.
I'm
But OBJ coming back, honestly, would make us all Giants fans happy. I
would cry of happiness, man.
I think it'd be really cool.
He'd have a 200-yard year and break his legs, but
but
still.
His career is winding down, and I just think that if he is going to make it his last year, if that's what I've seen stuff like that, I really do think the perfect spot would just be he ends it in New York, where it all started. One more run, just see, no matter what happens, just give it his all, see what happens, and if he wants to call a career, one more year in New York, I feel like it would be the perfect way to end it.
Do I think it's going to happen? Probably
not.
Do I want it to happen?
Yes.
God, yes, please. I want OBJ back on the Giants. I need it for my own sanity. I need 2016 vibes back.
It would be
Jalen Hyde, get 13 off your jersey. OBJ's back in town.
Yeah, that's another thing, but Russell Wilson likes Jalen Hyde, but OBJ coming back, taking that 13.
Yeah.
I just think it would be a great way for us to finally close a chapter in like all our childhoods as a Giants fan, at least.